Folks, I'd like to introduce you to a topic, time span of control. Time span of control. What is that? This is the time span that certain positions should be spending 80% of their efforts, okay? So I've got listed some positions over here in red: supervisor, planner, maintenance engineer, reliability engineer, maintenance manager, and plant manager. So the concept of time span of control is, where should they be spending 80% of their effort, okay, to maximize their impact on the overall reliability of the assets that you have in your plants. This was introduced to me probably 10 years ago. And I think it's very impactful, not necessarily in the day, but you that are, if you're a leader in the organization or you're aware of reliability concepts, you're a reliability engineer, any one of these positions, you can introduce this to the positions in authority at your plant and just say, hey, there's something to this time span of control that we need to be focused on. And I'll talk about problems and opportunities as I work my way down through each of these positions, okay? Time span of control, 80%. Now that means 20% can be spent in other zones, okay? So we got the jobs here. I just walked through those. Down here, we got today, this week, next week, this month, this quarter, 1 year out, and 5 years plus. So what time zone should you be working in? Let's go up to supervisor. Supervisors, they're actively working in today. Today's job that's going on, making sure we got all the materials, everything was put together right. We're executing. Executing is what the supervisor's role is. Today, they're thinking about next week, maybe working with the planner a little bit on how that job is laid out, this week and next week. So really, they're all about execution. They have involvement. They spent 20% of their time out here working with the other groups, working with the maintenance engineers and reliability engineers. But the vast majority of their time span that they're trying to control and do a good job at starts with today and this week, right? Okay. So then you move on to the planner. Notice this is blank out to next week, and there's some organizations that, can push that out to 2 weeks and even 3 weeks. Most are doing great if they can keep the planner starting at next week's plan. And that can go out to a year. Some organizations, they're long-term outage planners, and they may have an outage that goes on every 2 years and they have to plan in detail. Okay. But, the average planner, they're not supposed to be working in this week, and most of them don't work out here. But like I said, this is the 80% rule. They can spend 20% of their time. They may even get pulled into something today. And I know that's taboo, but if they can answer a question in 5 minutes, that's okay. But the problem is they can't, answer 50 questions today. You really got to keep them focused on next week. Time span of control. The maintenance engineer, folks, I had a hard time with this one. The maintenance engineer is really about executing today. If there's a problem out there and you need some specific guidance, hey, that's kind of their job. Getting the work instructions lined out for the next time we do a job, that could be next week, next quarter, 5 years from now. The maintenance engineer really works in this whole time span. They're really the ones that have the most, they're the only ones that span the whole time if you look at it. They're the only ones, okay? But depending on your need, they could be everywhere. The reliability engineer, I started this all the way out to this quarter. And some could argue, you should be looking at year. What are the historic problems at your plant, the motors, the lubrication, the alignment issues, the precision maintenance, historic problems with conveyors, with belts and bearings. What are those issues? Year after year, year after year, every year we know what our problem is going to be at the end of the year. That's what your reliability engineer should be working on. I moved the reliability engineer to this quarter. There are some, events that happen, that we want to do an RCA on, do 5 Ys, whatever, that they get pulled into. But, if you just manage this reliability engineer where they're not involved in this week or next week, you're doing pretty good, okay? You really don't need a lot of guidance if you're focused out that far. Okay, so then let's talk about the maintenance manager. Again, I got the maintenance manager starting it this month. You know, I wanted to have that out farther, but I'm a realist. Budgets are a big deal. Budgets are a big deal, and hitting the monthly budget is a big deal in your plan. I know it is. You got some production runs you need to be going with, you know, and helping them out on. So realistically, it's this month. But again, notice what's missing here. Yeah, they can spend 20% back in here, but you're not supposed to be working on today. And this is one of the unintended consequences of daily management meetings, where everybody gets together and talks about the urgent issues of today, what happened yesterday, what happened. And I'm a massive fan of daily management, but it's awful easy to get these people, the reliability engineer, the maintenance manager, and the planner, sucked into today with the drama of today. You know, urgent always trumps the strategic. Just remember that. Always trumps it. So you got to really be working hard, communicating time span of control. My last one here is the plant manager. You know, and I moved them out to this quarter just to be realistic. Budgets is a big part of your job. Hitting your monthly goals, hitting your quarterly goals, big part of your job. But again, they're not micromanaging. They're not telling you what bolt to use, how much grease to use, even though, you know, maybe some of us have that expertise. Stay out of the here and now, right? And let the supervisor do their job. If everybody does their job, that's where success comes with a reliability culture. You have to be performing your job. Too often we give kudos, we give pats on the back and recognition for people that do heroics in the day, heroics today. But heroics today, time you spend on heroics in your plant today, is time you're not working on your strategic problems that are the same problem year after year. You have to work on it. It won't get better by itself. People make things happen, okay? Time span of control. Review this with your team. Hey, one thing you can do is ask your team to tell you what time zone they're working on. Just you know, put an hour by each one of these for 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, whatever you work, and say, where are you spending that time at? And you may be surprised, especially with the biggest problem I find in plants is planners get sucked into the today, reliability engineers get sucked into today, and maintenance managers. So you're not going to make that long-term progress if you aren't dedicating time to working on it. And here's what a big problem at plants, you know, and reliability engineer. I have a test for reliability engineers. When I walk into a plant, I ask them what they did yesterday. The reliability, what did you do yesterday? And what happens is they get sucked into today from the daily management meeting, and then about 4:30 in the afternoon, they say, okay, I got things stabilized today. It's time to work on reliability, and they go home. Okay, tomorrow we're going to hit it tomorrow. Okay, so my test for a reliability engineer, that's a great one for you. If you're a maintenance manager or you're a plant manager, walk up to your reliability engineer and ask them what they did yesterday, where they spent their time. Was everything passed this quarter, or was it sucked this way? And that simple twist, simple change that you can make, that slight just nudge to say, no, nothing less than a quarter. And if you work less than a quarter, I want you to send me an email. Watch what happens in your plant. This is Joe out.